Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Ridwanullah family. Welcome to a new episode of Ridwanullah TV show. I'm your host, money, business, and life maximizer, Hussein Mohamud, working to help you completely maximize your money, business, and life in this dunya and in the akhirah for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Verily, all praise and thanks are due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, our creator, owner, and sustainer, the one who's worthy of all worship without any associates or intermediaries. And may the peace and blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be upon the most esteemed leader and most honorable teacher, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, his family, his companions, and those who follow him until the day of judgment. Allahumma ameen. And inshallah, in today's episode, this is going to be very, very late, but most likely relevant still by the time this comes out. But I'm going to be talking about the $11,200 of free money minimum. Free money. Yeah. Okay. I don't know why I said that, but free money. So we're going to be talking about the stimulus checks, the CARES Act, I believe it's called, that was passed recently because of the pandemic. So financially, a lot of us are suffering and struggling. And I had one of my close friends who's a truck driver, who has a truck business and owner and operator as well as a driver, call me and ask me about the different stimulus checks. Does it have interest? Does it not? Is it free? Is it a loan? And is it this? Is it that? And I went on a couple of hours of research to figure out a lot of the information that I'm about to share with you right now. So stay tuned throughout the whole Bi-idhnillahi ta'ala video so you can get as much value and use as possible. This is for the entrepreneurs as well as the individuals personally for their business and personal life as well. So that's what we're going to be talking about, bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. But before diving into it, let's talk about our sponsors, announcements, and updates. There is our primary sponsor, Ridwanullah Organization, which is an Islamic professional and personal development company specifically designed to help you completely maximize your money, business, and life in this dunya and in the akhirah for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you can visit us at ridwanullah.com through our under construction website for more information. And if you would like to sponsor this show or anything else that we got going on here at Ridwanullah Organization, send your request, budget, and details to ridwanullahorganization@gmail.com. And as long as you are within the boundaries, rules, and regulations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we'll be more than happy to help you. I can't think of anything else except there's a lot more, obviously. I'm still in the process of developing a new monthly membership program. You guys will be able to get the test beta version of it, and then we'll build on from there, bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. But I'm not releasing it. I honestly don't know exactly what I'm going to release it, but I just wanted to plant that seed there. That is a new program that's going to be coming up sometime in the near future. If you would like to get more information, send your email to Ridwanullah Organization @gmail.com, bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. Ridwanullah University's Life Maximization Program is up and running. We cover everything directly that is out of money and business. All other aspects of your life we're going to be covering in that program. So it's $30 per month. On a monthly basis, you'll get one live training and one live coaching session, and a lot more in the development right now. And you're going to be a part of a Life Maximizers community. So join us in that program, and we'll be able to help you maximize your life in this dunya and in the akhirah for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I think that is pretty much it as far as I'm aware of. If you would like for me to speak for your be one of the keynote speakers or one of the speakers at your events, Send your request, budget, and details to Ridwanullah Organization at gmail.com. And I think that's pretty much it for sponsors, announcements, and updates. Now, getting on to the topic, this is going to be a very, very dense topic for most of us because we have either been impacted tremendously, we are impacted, or potentially will be. The economic shutdown and the social distancing and the quarantining and all of these crazy new terminologies that we're not aware of has been and is our current reality right now. So, is it free money? Is it not? Should I take it? Should I not? And it's been a crazy whirlwind, to be quite honest with you. And I'll give you some of my conclusions as of right now. And then, we'll be able to go on from there. So I said 11,200, and that's the bare minimum if you are an employee and an individual, obviously. Well, no, an entrepreneur, I meant, and as an individual. So for your business, essentially, you could qualify for up to $10,000 grant that is a loan, and all of these crazy terminologies that they're kind of bouncing back and forth. And then for you, each individual who's a taxpayer, maybe even people who are not paying taxes, are eligible and should have already gotten $1,200 personally. So if you're an entrepreneur and an individual, for the most part, as far as I'm aware of, you're eligible, generally speaking, for the $10,000, up to $10,000 of grant money for your business to help you through this difficult economic times, as well as the $1,200 for you as an individual to stimulate the economy, so to say. Just to make sure that people are not struggling or going underwater more than they've already been already. So a lot of the questions was, is it a grant, or let's address it one by one? And these are some of the questions that I've addressed with one of my close friends. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. So the first question is it a grant or is it a loan? And do I qualify as a 1099? Usually those are the contracting positions, whether you're doing trucking or otherwise. So the answer is, it is a loan. Let's use that as a primary basis. That could potentially be a grant. So they're playing with the words, and one thing that I want to let you know is a lot of these different things and the rules and regulations of everything are being developed as things go along. So you don't even know. So there's a lot of rules and regulations in Islamic terms that we have to understand through the Islamic scholars, and I've done a little bit of my fair share of studying in terms of Islamic rules and regulations for the business. And if the terms of a deal is not clear, it is not permissible to the general understanding of my knowledge. So there you go in terms of just the first bit of answer. And then the second thing is, it's really a loan that could potentially become a grant. Now, that's on the business side. On the personal side, it is a grant or free money or whatever you want to call it. This is something that every American, generally speaking, taxpayers primarily, are getting paid already. Now, the question is there interest in that loan? Let's call it a loan. Now, yes, on the EIDL and then the PPP is what they're breaking it down in terms of the business side. The EIDL, I can't even remember the exact terminology, but I know the acronyms. The EIDL is the first one that majority of the people are able to get. And I believe the limit is like up to $2 million that you could potentially get the loan for, and they're going to forgive the first initial $10,000. It's crazy. It's just a lot of information to work through. So that is the essence of it. And there is an interest on that loan, even if it's like 1%. And then the PPP, it's like people who have employees, and then they're saying everybody else kind of qualifies for it. I don't understand how you qualify for it. if you don't have employees, if it's the Paycheck Protection Program. So that one has a little bit of a higher interest rate, which is like 3%, 4%, or whatever. And then obviously we already talked about the personal one, so we're just going to focus a little bit more on the business side, and then we're going to get into a little bit more on the personal, whatever else is left on it. So up to there's different calculations of what you qualify for. So you have to go to sba.gov for more information on that. That's where I would recommend. That's where I went, and I went to the irs.gov. And I did a little bit of research online, YouTube, and a combination of everything else to be able to figure out a lot of these information for you. So it's important to know a lot of these different things are still developing. So some of the things that I might tell you right now might have been accurate when it first came out. It might not be accurate anymore. Maybe it's still accurate. So you have to verify and do your own due diligence. So I can talk to the Muslims, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, to the best of my abilities and to the best of my knowledge in terms of what is permissible and what is not on a general scale. And this is something that you can verify with your scholars that you connect with on a regular basis and build on from there. And there's unique situations for everything. But as far as I know, the EIDL, unless it's specifically mentioned that it is a grant before you take it, it is not permissible for you to take it, for me to take it, for anybody to take it. So let's get that out of the way. The second one for sure is not permissible because it's a loan that has interest on it. So generally speaking, both of them are not permissible for us to take it, especially during unclear deals and terms and criteria and everything else. So if it becomes clear, and it's kind of like the smoking mirrors, I should say, where you need the money up front, right? But can you get it without interest? The answer is no, so it's not permissible for us to take it. If it becomes clear through whatever application process that you can get up to the $10,000 of grant money, and there's not really crazy strings attached, which is a regular reality for all of us in terms of, how the government pretty much deals with the situation at hand, we really, really have to be cautious of that. And that is what I would advise you on that. And I'll give you my final determination on that, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. And by the way, this is not by any means professional legal advice. This is my own basic research. I don't know how many times I can say basic. But to the best of my ability, my sincere advice. This is not something that you should take as a way that you should, execute on things. I'll tell you the way I'm doing it and the way I want the way that I would like for you to do it. Because if I'm doing it that way, then obviously, that's the way I believe that is the right way. And I've listened to different individuals within the industry of what to do and what not to do. And it kind of makes sense to me, especially from an Islamic perspective. So, and I think the loan limitation is a lot higher. And I believe you get to pay it over the loan maturity is about a 2-year span. So within 2 years, and there's a lot of details that you have to figure out for yourself. So that is what that is. Yes, it has interest if you have any questions. Is it free? Essentially, no. Potentially, yes. And that's where a lot of the different realities come in. So you really have to pay attention to that. And I understand everybody's in different financial situations. Some people are in dire needs before the situation, during the situation even more so, and their business are pretty much going out of business. A lot of bankruptcies are happening, and the businesses are going out of business essentially. So that is what that is. In terms of personally, the $1,200 is the bare minimum. You can get up to however, so if it's 2 adults, it's $1,200 each, children $500 each, up to a certain amount of money that you make. I can't remember the exact limits, but you can go to the website and look at it yourself. But up to a certain amount, you're getting that for free. As far as I know, there's no strings attached. You don't have to pay it back. A lot of people are, sending out misinformation saying that you have to give it back. If it is that situation and they change it, that's a whole different situation. But as far as I'm aware of right now, it is not held against you. You don't have to pay it back. It is not deducted from the taxes. It is not added on to the taxes that was due later on, all of that crazy jazz. So hopefully that answers that question for you. So there could be more stimulus checks coming up. They are talking about maybe $200 per month that they could potentially approve, but who knows if that is going to be a reality or not. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. I would say maybe 80% of it, 90% of it is not. So what can you get from all of this? For me personally, as a aspiring entrepreneur and a somewhat level of, I would say, I don't know if I should call myself a beginner, but I'm on the beginning level. Let's just say a beginner in terms of my results, but someone who's in the beginning stages, I follow the advice that I'm not going to take the loan from an Islamic perspective because it has interest. And I'm not going to take the grant simply because there's a lot of stipulations and rules and regulations that they're putting on it for me to receive it. And all of that might change. So they're going to have some level of say in what I do with the money, essentially. And it could be a thing that keeps changing. So for me, if I don't need it, I like to stay away from that level of grant money. And this is just some amateur level information, to be quite honest with you. So you take it as you wish. But your situation might be different. But if you are a Muslim, I wouldn't take a loan that has interest in it. It is not permissible for us to take that. Now, if you're going to, hustle and work for the grant that is the grant part of it, then it is up to you. But as of right now, the default part of it is not a grant. It's a loan that the first $10,000 could potentially be a grant. So it's up to you to decide if that's going to be worth the hassle for you. The second thing is, and that's just the EIDL loan, and the PPP loan, if you have employees or not even, or you qualify for it as a Muslim, because it has interest, you should stay away from it, bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. So with that being said, I hope that concludes essentially, and I'll wrap up on a grander scale, but I hope that essentially concludes the business stimulus packages that are available. And then they have two other options available, which is still just an extended version of loans, which has interest, obviously. Even if they say no interest, maybe if, right? I'm not saying that is what it is. But even if they have it at that, you still, you never know. There's so many uncertainties around that. And if you could, I wouldn't recommend it for Muslims because of the interest that is haram. And I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people who have different opinions on that. Leave it in the comments below, whether you agree with me or not. Everything is on the table as long as it's within the boundaries, rules, and regulations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it, and I think I've covered enough on the personal aspect of it. Now let's look at the grand scheme of things. What are the lessons that you've learned from this recession, this potentially depression, because its impact is unbelievable, in unprecedented proportions, to be quite honest with you. So what are the lessons that I've learned? Honestly, I'm extremely happy, number one, to work towards doing my business investments and other work like jobs or things like that online, working from home or potentially anywhere else, depending on whatever opportunities that you have. That is, for me, lesson number one. Obviously, before that, the biggest lesson, the umbrella lesson, is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in charge, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes the rules and regulations ultimately. So if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to put the whole economy on shutdown and put us in timeout, that's what it is. And it is time to seek forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and other people that we have hurt, and continuously improve on that. So that is the umbrella lesson. So the first lesson was head towards online, remote work, home work, work from home, online work. That is where the future is headed. And obviously being forced to do it, you see how everybody has to get on that. So that's lesson number one. Lesson number two is you have to be liquid. In other words, you have to have savings. In other words, you have to have cash, money in the bank, in your possessions, ready to go at all times to help you stay afloat for as long as needed. At the very least, 3 to 6 months business-wise and 3 to 6 months personally. So you have to have a combination of both of them to be able to, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, stay afloat. That's number one. And number two is one of the biggest business expenses, payrolls, right? Obviously, aside from your general expenses that you need to stay afloat, the government specifically designed another stimulus package called the PPP, Paycheck Protection Program, I believe it's what it's called. And that just lets you know that's the biggest concern in business is the payroll, right? Because more than likely, essentially, or normally, that is the biggest expense. So for me as a solo entrepreneur as of right now, and having a couple of people help me out here and there every now and then, if I want to bring on a team and they are going to be paid or maybe even volunteering, that is going to be the primary focus. How can I take care of all the other expenses, but primarily the payroll expenses? So as someone who is still trying to figure out, do I want to remain solo entrepreneur? Do I want to become an employer in the future? I have a little bit of experience here and there managing teams within student organizations. I haven't really done it in a professional setting, in an actual business aside from my own yet. I don't know why, but that's up in the air. But essentially the lesson is payroll is huge. So take care of your payroll to the best of your abilities. And you as an entrepreneur are on your payroll. Very, very important. You have to pay yourself as an employee, even as an owner of the business, and pay yourself as an owner of the business. Bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. That's one thing that I like to stress to entrepreneurs, that is what they have to do. So payroll is extraordinarily important. So having enough savings to cover your payroll as well, if you have a payroll, is very, very important. That's another lesson that I've learned. The other lesson that I've learned is, just verify information and understand that when things are very chaotic, is that because they're developing and you're either going to, shoot at a blank place, or you're going to wait until things develop, and, either you're going to be, it's like a catch-22. You go for it and then find out all of these different things that you have to do to be able to get the money, when I'm referring to the stimulus checks for business individuals. Or you might wait and not get enough money that you need and then go out of business potentially. Or furlough, it's another terminology, laying off people. Obviously, we all know what that means. Furlough is when you still have them on the payroll, but you're not paying them. Essentially, is another word that I've come to learn that a lot of the businesses are doing. So that is another lesson, that you have to let things develop, or within reason, take a shot at it. The other thing is that I've learned is, aside from, obviously managing the chaos and boosting your immunity system and all of these amazing things that we all need to do, I'm just focused from the financial aspect of it as of right now, is that not only should you have enough money for as long as you need to stay afloat, as far as my research, a recession is 2 consecutive quarters of a declining economy. And obviously the numbers are still yet to come out. This is March. We're like somewhere a little bit halfway past April when I'm recording this show. But we actually have to go through 2 full quarters of economics to be able to know if we're in a recession. If things go the way that we are, is a guaranteed recession, and most likely a depression. And I don't even know what constitutes a depression, but we really have to look into it. But essentially, the point that I was trying to make is a normal recession lasts for about a year from the research that I've gathered. So essentially, at the very least, have 3 to 6 months and, reasonably a year worth of emergency funds for your business as well as your personal life as well. So that's the lesson that I've learned. But even more so than that is when the economy goes down, there's a lot of things that are going to be going down in price, whether that's real estate, whether that's the stock market, or just things that you wanted to purchase anyway, or anything else in between that. So what happens is this is going to be an amazing opportunity for you to have extra liquid cash to be able to purchase the things that you need to, pay all the fees that are associated to that, and have enough money to fix it up or whatever else you need to do, and enough money to run it if that's the case. So you have to have reasonable amount of liquid cash in reserves to be able to take advantage of the economic times. So by that time, when the economy is starting to rise again, you rise along with it and make unbelievable amount of money during that time. And it's hard to time it. You don't know, obviously we know we're in a downcline. You don't know when it's the bottom. Nobody knows. Everybody could speculate, and nobody knows when it's time to, when things are starting to head up. So for me, I've realized that, and Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, through the work that I've been doing and the content that I've been consuming and the courses and everything else, I've realized that I've been on that plan. I'm not obviously where I need to be, but now I know. And this is the actual first recession that I'm going to be going through, essentially as a grown adult, quote unquote. The 2008 one, I was still a child, most likely living with my parents. Actually, not most likely, I was living with my parents, as a probably high school or college. I was a college student at that time. But this is the first one where I was responsible for, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, for the household expenses as the head of household, essentially. So I learned a lot, and that's what I learned, is that you really have to have reasonable amount of cash on hand, as well as all of these other things that you're trying to take care of. But make sure not only you have liquid cash to survive, but liquid cash to thrive, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. So keep that in mind. I'm keeping that in mind. And one of the individuals that I was listening to, he mentioned, I shouldn't say to me, that when he went through the economic downturns, he was telling himself that he's going to put himself in a position to take advantage of the next recession. And for me, I've realized that that's the same mentality that I'm going to have. I'll try to take advantage of it as best as I can right now. But I'm going to put myself in a position, when the next recession happens during my lifetime, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows me to be alive, to execute on that. So I hope that this was helpful for the Islamic entrepreneurs in your business and personal life, of what you should do with your money generally or essentially, and how to continuously build up upon that. And that's all I got for you guys today. I hope that this was valuable for you. To summarize and conclude, for me personally, unless I could figure out a way to get the grant money in a clear way, I wouldn't bother with getting the EIDL loan or the PPP loan or any other loan that they have, because simply it's not permissible for Muslims, for us. And if there's something that I'm missing, please leave it in the comments below. But on a personal level, make sure that you're planning and preparing your business to not only survive but thrive in the worst economic times through recessions and depressions, or whatever else they want to label it. And personally, do the same personally as well, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, and continuously working towards your success and happiness in your money, business, and life in this dunya and in the akhirah for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Make sure you're spending your money wisely is what I will say. Take care of your zakat, take care of your sadaqah to the best of your abilities, and continuously build upon that. We're all struggling and striving to make something out of our money, business, and life and ourselves. So I hope the best and wish the best for you, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for those who have not been impacted, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen, for those who have been impacted tremendously, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help you in your difficult time. For those who are somewhere in between, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help you as well, and help us all capitalize on this unbelievable situation to the best of our abilities and help us to make it through, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. I challenge you to step your money and financial game up, whether in good and or in the worst of times and in the best of times. Continuously improve upon that, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. That's my challenge to you. Jazakumullahu khair, Ridwanullah family. As a reminder of our sponsors, announcements, and updates, Ridwanullah Organization is our primary sponsor. You can visit us at ridwanullah.com for more information. And I have a new program coming up. I hope that you guys could show your love and support for that amazing program that's coming up. And the amazing program that's already up and running is Ridwanullah University Life Maximization Program. For $30 per month, you'll get amazing value and use, and you can get the information and hopefully in the link below, if not in the website or wherever else you can find it, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. I think that's pretty much it, I believe. Yeah. So if you would like for me to speak at your events, obviously if you have online events or offline events, send your request, budget, and details to Ridwanullah Organization at gmail.com. Jazakumullahu khair, Ridwanullah family, for tuning in to a new episode of Ridwanullah TV Show. I'm your host, money, business, and life maximizer, Hussein Mohamud, working to help you checking out by saying never ever give up on completely maximizing your money, business, and life in this dunya and in the akhirah for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.